Zakar lived in a small wooden cabin. It stood by a lake deep in the heart of the forest. The old man had lived there for many years. His only companion was his dog, Tuman. Tuman was a large grey dog with kind eyes and a wagging tail. He followed Zakar everywhere. Every morning, Zakar and Tuman would wake with the sun. They would walk to the lake. The cool water would refresh them. Tuman loved to chase the ducks, barking playfully as they splashed away. Zakar would laugh, his heart full. After their morning ritual, they would return to the cabin. Zakar would chop wood for the fire. Tuman would sit nearby, watching his friend with attentive eyes. They were content, their days filled with simple routines and the quiet joy of companionship. One afternoon, a storm rolled in. The wind howled through the trees, rain lashed against the cabin windows. Zakar sat by the fire, reading his worn-out book. Tuman, usually curled up at his feet, was restless. He paced the cabin, whining softly. Suddenly there was a loud clap of thunder. Tuman let out a bark and bolted out of the cabin. The door swung open, then shut with a bang. Zakar, startled, called out for his friend. "Tuman, come back, boy, it's just thunder." But Tuman didn't come back. Minutes passed. The storm raged on. Worry gnawed at Zakar's heart. He went to the door and peered out, but all he could see was the driving rain. Fear gripped Zakar. He grabbed his old coat and lantern. He stepped out into the storm, calling Tuman's name. His voice was lost in the wind. He searched around the cabin, his heart pounding. Where could Tuman have gone in this weather? He followed the path down to the lake. The water was choppy, the wind whipping it into a frenzy. He scanned the shoreline, hoping for a glimpse of Tuman's grey fur, but there was nothing. Despair threatened to engulf him. He couldn't imagine life without Tuman. He had to find his friend. With renewed determination, he plunged deeper into the forest. Section 4. Hope dwindles with the setting sun. The storm began to subside, but the forest was shrouded in an eerie twilight. Zakar, soaked to the bone, pushed on. He called for Tuman until his voice was hoarse. He searched every nook and cranny, every familiar clearing, but Tuman was nowhere to be found. As darkness fell, the forest came alive with strange sounds. Owls hooted, branches creaked in the wind, every rustle of leaves sent Zakar's heart racing. Was that Tuman? But each time it was just the wind playing tricks. Exhaustion gnawed at Zakar. His legs ached, his body trembled with cold. He wanted to give up, to sink down beneath a tree and let the darkness take him. But the thought of Tuman, lost and alone, spurred him on. He had to keep looking. Section 5. A bark in the darkness. Just when all hope seemed lost, a sound pierced the silence. A bark, a familiar bark. Zakar's heart leapt. He ran towards the sound, his lantern bouncing wildly. There, in a small clearing, was Tuman. He was lying beside a fallen log, whimpering softly. One of his legs seemed to be caught beneath the heavy wood. "Tuman!" Zakar cried, rushing to his side. The dog's tail thumped weakly against the ground. His eyes, filled with pain and relief, met Zakar's. Section 6. Homeward bound. With trembling hands, Zakar struggled to move the log. It took all his strength, but finally, with a grunt, he pushed it aside. Tuman yelped, then licked Zakar's hand gratefully. Zakar carefully examined Tuman's leg. It didn't seem to be broken, just trapped. He helped Tuman to his feet and supported his weight as they slowly made their way back through the forest. The journey back to the cabin was long and arduous. The forest seemed less frightening now, less lonely. Every so often, Zakar would look down at Tuman and the dog would lick his hand as if to reassure him that he was all right. Finally, they reached the cabin. The warmth of the fire, the familiar scent of home washed over them. Zakar settled Tuman onto his bed, stroking his fur gently. He was safe. They were together again. And in that moment, surrounded by the silence of the forest, their bond felt stronger than ever before.